Hi, this is Dr. Lonnie Smith, and you're about to hear some incredible music by a very dear friend of mine. Mr. Robbie Robinson, great conductor, arranger, and musician. Stick around.
Joey DeFrancesco here. Just want to say a few words about my friend, Robbie Robinson. Wonderful person, most of all. Great musician, musical director for many years with my other friend, Frankie Valli. I can't say enough good things about this guy. You're there today with him and you're hanging out, and you're going to find out for yourself.
And now a man who has learned after all these years that big girls do cry, Robbie Robinson.
Hello, everybody, all you jammers out there. I love that term. That's sort of taken on the moniker. You guys have sort of taken on that moniker of the people who come out and hang out with us on Monday nights. And I have a feeling tonight we're going to have a few more people listening, and I think they're going to have a few more trumpet players because my guest tonight is one of the legends of the trumpet. And this guy, well, if you've seen any of the promo stuff, and you're going to hear a lot more about it tonight. But so for all you trumpet players and brass players, this is going to be a special treat. It's also going to be a special treat for anybody who likes movies, anybody who likes TV shows, anybody who likes Grammy-winning records. So this guy that he's got, I already see a trumpet player. There's my buddy Brad Wilcox right there in the house tonight. Let's see who else we've got in the house. Let's see if I can go over here. Well, I've got to make some adjustments here. Let's see here. What can we do to make this look right? Let's see if I do this. Go over here. I'm afraid that's going to be too complicated to try to make work. So, never mind. We'll go over here. Or we'll just go over here. The old try and true. I see my buddy Bob Sneed is in the house. Mark Sussman. Great to be here, he says, and great to have you here, Mark. Thank you for joining us. And George, Music for All Seasons, one of our regulars who knows everything that there ever was to know about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. My buddy Pete Lausches from St. Louis. Ruth, hello, Ruth. How are you tonight? Hello, Shar. Hot show on a hot California day. Yes, it is hot. And so I'm wearing short sleeves. But I did get dressed up a little bit because we're kind of going uptown tonight with Mr. Rick Baptist in the house. Hello, Anna Saminamu. Thanks for coming on board, kiddo. Anthony Contasti. Sounds like an Italiano to me. I don't know. We've got a lot of Italians in this jammer group here. Has something to do with the Castelluccio fans, I think. Hello, Bert from Knoxville. By the way, Bert, we're going to be coming to Knoxville sometime in the near future. Hello, Tom Grable's in the house. KP Lynn. KP does so many wonderful promotional articles. I mean, these are not little blurbs. These are full-scale articles. She is a great writer, and we so appreciate everything that you do for Jam and Java. And Robbie's Records, I should say. Hello, Richard McCrocklin. All right. Well, I think we probably better get going because, it has been super hot here. Oh, yeah, that's right. Brad's coming to town. Hey, Brad, I hope we can get together. Brad Wilcox is a great trumpet player who lives in North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas, and he is one of our regular guys out there. And he actually his band director was a dear friend of mine who I went to college with. Pretty cool. Hello, Judy Meyer from St. Louis. All right, so tonight, as you know, my special guest is going to be a great trumpet player, Mr. Rick Baptist, who's been the first call trumpet player in Hollywood here for decades and decades and decades. We always start with a word of prayer, and Pastor Chuck Pearson is our Oh, thank you, by the way, Brad. Sorry to. Thank you for clarifying. North Carolina. All right. Pastor Chuck Pearson is our resident chaplain, and he just had a birthday last week, and we kind of sang him happy birthday. And I saw him in church yesterday, and he says, he asked me if this was his present, having Rick Baptist on the show, and I'll tell you why. Chuck Pearson is not only a great pastor, not only a great artisan, he is a great trumpet player. One of these days, we'll have to break out his trumpet and show you that side of Chuck Pearson. So Pastor Chuck is going to lead us in prayer, and of course, and it's perfect for tonight because trumpet player Pastor Chuck is going to lead us in prayer. Here we go.
Thank you, Robbie. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had a really great day. It has been really hot here in Simi Valley and in California. But that's just California during September. I want to share a couple of thoughts with you based on the Psalm reading from the Psalms, I should say, yesterday for worship, Psalm 63, verses 1 through 8, where David writes, "O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich foods, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night, for you have been my help, and in the shadows of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me." All of us have probably experienced this times David describes as being like being in a dry and weary land where there is no water. We know how brutal life can be, and we know how hard the struggles of life can be, and how difficult it is when we receive blow after blow. We know what it's like to struggle emotionally and face disappointment every day. And there are times when we are physically and emotionally drained because of the difficulties that we face in life. Some of that, of course, is caused by our own failures and our sins before God as we have acted contrary to our Lord's will. And some of it's a result of the sin of other people who have used us or taken advantage of us or our circumstances. And some of it's just life. Some of it just happens where no one in particular is to blame. It's no one's fault. It's just stuff that happens. So what do we do when life kicks us in the teeth? Maybe we seek some comfort from our friends, or maybe we take comforts in some kind of medication or a drug or some kind of beverage, or there's a reason why they're called comfort foods. That's because we find some kind of comfort in them. Yay chocolate, yay ice cream. At any rate, maybe we just turn in on ourselves and try to insulate and harden ourselves so that others can't hurt us. David points us to a better source of comfort. When we experience those dry and hard and weary times, he says, "O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory." The place where you and I can go to find that comfort that is beyond anything that this life has to offer is in worship, in church. One of the reasons we are called together as Christians to worship is not because God needs us there or just because he wants us there. He wants us there, but he wants us there because that's the place where he can give us his blessings that the word promises us. I know he's with us every moment of the day. He's with us when we study his word and when we pray. But there's something special about worship where we join together as the body of Christ, where we join together and praise him, and we fellowship together and join together with those people that have that same faith that we do, that are facing the same struggles that we are, but they find in Christ the answer as we do. It's a place where we receive the encouragement and the forgiveness of sins, and where we celebrate the sacraments. It's the place where we are reminded and encouraged and strengthened for the road that lies ahead. It's there again, as David says, that we see God's steadfast love is better than life. Let's pray. Father in heaven, you have richly blessed us by calling us into your presence for worship. All of us struggle with frustration and doubt, with misfortune and failure. We have financial problems, emotional struggles, and sometimes outright opposition. We know from our own experience those feelings of being in a dry and weary land as David described them. We're not without resources. We're not abandoned or left alone. You are with us, and we find strength and comfort in your word and our worship of you, and in the blessings of fellowship and communion. Father, guide us through these times when life seems difficult. No matter what struggles we face this evening, assure us and comfort us. Remind us of your presence and lift us through the power of your love for us that is ours always. In Jesus' name, amen. So back to you, Robbie. I'm really looking forward to getting my birthday present tonight, which is Rick Baptist being. Finally, we got somebody on the program playing God's instrument, the trumpet. Have a great evening, everyone, and God bless.
Jam for Jesus. Where do we begin? Jam for Jesus. Let the Spirit in. What would the Master do if you took a mighty swing and didn't follow through? Jam for Jesus. Jam for Jesus. Let the Spirit in. Jam for Jesus. Make it a jubilee. Jam for Jesus. Let's see what we can see. What will the Master say if you plan to represent, but only when I pray? Jam for Jesus. Jam for Jesus. Let the Spirit in. Jam for the Lamb. Rock the rock, talk the talk, and walk the walk. In any joyful circumstance, the Master likes to see you dance. Watch me now. Jam for Jesus. Tell me what would prove. Jam for Jesus. Woo! If you sit there and don't even move, what would the Master think? You lift the chalice to your lips, but never take a drink. Jam for Jesus, jam for Jesus. Let the Spirit in. Jam for the Lamb and rock the rock, talk the talk and walk the walk. In any joyful circumstance, the Master likes to see you dance. Hit it, Doc.
All right, Jam for Jesus. And that, of course, is the theme song for a Christmas concert that we've been holding for 32 years now. Wow, I can't believe it. And, of course, that was the great Doc Kupka, and I wrote that song, and the great Warren Ham and the great Sarah Nimitz singing it, and an illustrious horn section. I thought that was a good one to start the night off because tonight is going to be a brass-oriented night. It's going to be a trumpet-oriented night. It's going to be a musical legend night tonight. And I guess there's no reason for me to dilly-dally any longer here. We'll just go ahead and put your virtual hands together for one of the greatest trumpet players to ever walk the earth, a true bona fide Hollywood studio legend. This guy has done it all. We'll talk about all his accomplishments, but please put your virtual hands together for my buddy, Mr. Rick Baptist, everybody. Rick! They love you here, brother.
I love it. Thank you.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. So is the camera, everything good, you know?
I think it looks pretty stinking good. I mean, well, you don't need any makeup, do you? That's the thing here. I'm going to move you over here. Let's see. There we go. Looking good, kid. So,
thank you, sir.
Well, let's talk about Rick Baptist. I need to really tell the audience, because a lot of times the musicians who play on all these movies, how many movies have you played on?
1,300.
Any big ones?
A couple, here and there.
Give the audience an idea of some of the movies that you've been the trumpet player on.
The thing I love is the fifth movie I did when I came to town. I moved to Los Angeles from Vegas. I was in Vegas, which is actually where we met, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm from San Francisco area, and I worked there till I was 20 years old. And Bobby Darin came into town into Frisco, and he liked my trumpet playing. I was playing at a club, and he says, "Hey, kid," he says, "I'm going to Harris, Reno for a couple weeks, and I want you to come as my first trumpet player." And then his piano player, his conductor, was Bob Rosario.
Sure, I remember him. Yep.
Anyway, so I said, "Well, sir, I'm only 20 years old." He says, "That's right, lie about your age." So I did, and I went up and worked for him 2 weeks up in Reno at Harris. And the leader up there, George Hernandez, liked my playing. He offered me a job. So March of '68, I started work up in Reno.
Wow.
And I mean, I always knew that I wanted to play in LA. I remember sitting at home watching the Oscars with my folks and say, wow, someday I really want to do that. And I was blessed to do it for 30 years. As
unbelievable.
First. But anyway, yeah, so I was in Vegas and had a great gig in Vegas.
Well, I remember that's where you and I met, because this was before Rick Baptist became the Hollywood studio legend. I knew you before you were you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but I was learning. I knew what I wanted to do, but I also knew that I had to get more experience. So staying in Reno for 2 years, Vegas, I stayed for 6.5 years.
Wow.
You know, actually 7.5 years. And I had a great gig working as the first trumpet on a relief band. Now, what the relief band is every hotel, when the acts came in, they had the house orchestra, which was like 4 trumpets, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxes, strings. Well, they can only work 6 nights a week, and the acts had to work 7, so they had a relief band. So I worked in 6 different hotels every week. So I had a chance to work every act you could think of, from, Wayne Newton to Elvis to everybody. And so I realized after about 7 years that, I think I was ready to come to Los Angeles. I had met Nelson Riddle, I had met Peter Matz, and all that. And so when I came to Los Angeles, I made 2 phone calls. The first phone call was to Peter Matz.
And what year was that?
That was 1979.
Okay.
And so I called Peter and said, you know, I moved to town. And at the time, he was doing the Carol Burnett show.
Uh-huh.
And he said, you know, he said, Rick, he said, perfect. He says, my second trumpet player, Jack Laubach, he had some accident, whenever. He says, you got to come in and do the show. So I went in, you know, within 20 minutes, I had a gig.
Wow.
And then I called Riddle, and Nelson Riddle said, okay, I'm going to tell my contractor to call you. And it was, I just started working in Los Angeles.
Amazing. Well, you and I had met before. I mean, the audience who watches me regularly know that I've been with Frankie Valli for 46 years. But you and I met before I was with Frankie Valli. You were playing in the relief band that you mentioned, the Johnny Haig Relief Band in Las Vegas. And I was going to Las Vegas. We'll see. I'm going to put in a picture here if I can make this work. With this guy right here. Let's see here if it's going to show up. Let's see here. This guy right here. Do you remember him?
Oh, of course.
Buddy Greco.
Buddy Greco, of course. That's right. You were with Buddy Greco. That's right.
And that's where you and I met. We would open the show for for Don Rickles at the Sahara.
Right. At the Sahara, right.
Yeah. And you, that band, I mean, those bands were the best bands, the relief bands. Because you guys would do, like you said, you guys would do a different show every night.
Yeah. What we would do was we'd rehearse during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Vegas, you did 2 shows, 8 o'clock and midnight show.
Yeah.
And so we would rehearse the act. We would do the 8 o'clock midnight show. And then next week, just come in and do it again. You know, because and it was, the band was amazing. I mean,
man.
It was a great gig. It really was.
And somehow we hit it off. And then when you came out here, I mean, when I found out you were out here, I started using you for everything. You played many hours in this room right next to me, or this little booth here.
Most definitely.
And it was hot on some of those days like it is today.
Oh, man. But you know what? It was always fun.
Oh, man. So that goes back, that's approaching 50 years, my friend.
I know. Isn't that amazing? We look good, too.
I know. If we do say so ourselves. Here's Brad Wilcox. Is one of my friends sent Buddy Greco one of the original songs way back in the early 80s. Brad Wilcox is a trumpet player that I use in North Carolina all the time, and we just worked together not too long ago. You have done, 1,300 Hollywood movies, 5,000 animated cartoons. Now tell the audience about playing on cartoons, because first of all, that's really a cool thing to play that music, right?
Oh, that was the most fun. I mean, in 1990, I had done quite a few cartoons before that, but in 1990, Warner Brothers decided they got together with Steven Spielberg, and they said, we want you to create some cartoons. And that's when Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, all those Warner Brother cartoons started out. And it was amazing. Richard Stone was the main writer. Bruce Broughton started the Tiny Toon stuff. I mean, all great composers. But to play that stuff, growing up, I loved watching cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
And so to be able to sit and do that every day, and we did that for 10 years.
Wow.
All those cartoons. It was just so much fun. And then for Disney, I did all of the Disney big cartoons. The things I always loved, and I know my daughter loves it, is that every Disney animated movie, from Little Mermaid through what was the last one? What was it? Frozen. Oh, Frozen. That's right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did all those major, cartoons. but the cartoon shows were just so much fun. Like on Family Guy, Family Guy, I get a phone call from Walter Murphy. Now he's the writer. He said, "Hey Rick," he says, "you got to come over to the studio.
And by
We
the
got
way,
this
let,
new
let me
cartoon."
interrupt you just for the audience out there. Walter Murphy, of course, had a big hit record in the 80s, I think it was, called The Fifth
It
of
was in the
Beethoven.
70s, yeah.
70s.
The Fifth
Wow.
of Beethoven. Right?
Yeah.
And he calls. He says, "Listen, they got this new cartoon that they're starting up. I want you to come over. We're going to do the main title." And Seth MacFarlane, who is the genius behind all those
No.
cartoons. So I went over to his house and we recorded the main titles. And so when you listen
So
to the
you
main
did
title,
that at his house, at a home studio.
home studio, yeah.
Wow.
And so listen to that main title. I played all 4 trumpet parts, and then Alan Kaplan did all 4 trombones,
Uh-huh.
and the great Dan Higgins played all the saxes.
Oh, yeah.
So we recorded it and did it, and we saw this young guy sitting on the couch, and ended up to be the brilliant Seth
Wow.
MacFarlane.
And tell the audience about Seth MacFarlane, because he has not only become a great director, producer, but he is like a big, humongous advocate for musicians.
Absolutely, and that's the thing this is the thing that we loved and idolized him for. When he signed his contract, a 4-year deal with Fox, and in his contract that he put in his contract that they are to use a full, at the time I think it started out 35 musicians
Wow.
on every cartoon that he does. Now, so he did Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, then we did Family Guy, we did Cleveland, all had, and every year they were to add 1 musician to the size of the orchestra.
Which is
So
kind
God
of
bless-
against
God
a lot of
bless
a lot of these directors kind of go the other way, right? They're trying to cut costs and minimize their expenses.
No, he wanted to make sure there was live orchestra musicians, no synthesizers, anything that played his music, and that's why it's fantastic.
I love it. I just love it. Now, I'm going to go down here. I've got your list, some of your credentials here on the board here. And at the bottom of the list, because this kind of goes to what we're talking about a little bit, a few years ago, you became the vice president of the Los Angeles Musicians Union, Local 47, and you were a big advocate in so many ways. You have always been a friend to all musicians, and all musicians look up to you not only for your musicianship, but because you're just a great guy and everybody relates to you on every level. But you do so great about getting credits on the movies, because now it's different.
Yeah, it is definitely different, and I'm so because starting in the 80s, the 79s, the 80s, and all the 80s and 90s, when I started doing a lot of movies. I mean, like I said, I've done 1,300 movies. I've had my name on 50, and believe it or not,
Wow.
that's all.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway,
But it's a
when I
small
had the
percentage of
opportunity-
1,300, isn't it? So that's the difference.
yeah, but I had the opportunity because I remember growing up watching, watching television and musicians. They always gave the composer, and rightfully so.
Right.
They gave who the conductor was, or the contractor, who's the music,
And the truck driver and the catering and the chef and the guy
yeah.
who.
Well, there was always one from the 80s. The guys were trying. We were trying to get them to put the musician's name on, and they
Yeah.
always said the same thing, and that was, music is the last thing that goes on the movie, which is true. And there's not enough time. We already have the end crawl already timed out, so there's not enough time. But now you hit a button, 300 names are on. No problem.
Yeah.
So finally, in the year 2020, I guess it was around 2015, 2016, 2017, we every year I would go with the federation, and we would talk with the powers that be, and about getting musicians' name. So I finally, I guess it was about 2019 when that contract that we signed, I had a chance, because you go and you sit and there's a huge room where all the producers and owners and whatever, are there. And so I said I wanted to say something. And so I stood up and made my plea to get musicians' names. I said, I told them about my background, all the music, all the movies I did, but it doesn't seem right in that there was always one name on the crawl that bugged me when I would go and see a movie, and that was the honey wagon driver. You know the honey wagon driver. He's the guy who drives the porta potties to the job. Now, granted, that's important, but is that more important than music? So I stood when we were doing all the Pixar movies. I did the first 14 Pixar movies, and when we were doing the movie Up, Pete Docter, Michael Giacchino was the writer. Pete Docter was the director. And it was always, we loved doing all the Pixar movies because they really cared about the music. And they would have cameras filming, going back up to their studio in Northern California to show us playing the music, because these people have been working on that movie, for years. So Pete Docter came in and he said, ladies and gentlemen, he says, I'm so thrilled to see everybody here. We had 75 musicians at Warner Brothers. And he says, I want to kind of do an experiment. So this is, we had played a couple of things, but he says this next cue is a 3.5-minute cue that is the one where in the movie, the old man is thinking about his wife and reminiscing. And it's, 3.5 minutes. It's an amazing cue, right? He says, so I want you guys to turn around in your chairs, because we always wear headphones, right? To hear the clicks. And he said, put on your headphones. I want you to turn around, because right behind us was a big screen that shows what they're showing. We never hear dialogue, but we could see what scene we're playing to in a movie. And so he says, I want you to turn around, turn on the screen. We're going to turn on the dialogue, and we want you to hear what you're going to put your music to. And so we all turned around and we looked, and they played this cue with no music, but with the dialogue. And we thought, oh, wow, that's really touching, really nice, And then after lunch, he came back to us. We recorded the music. He came back to us. He says, okay, now, folks, I want you to do the same thing. Put your headphones on, turn around, and I want you to see what your music did to my movie. And so 75 of us turn around, we put the headphones on, they put the music in there with the dialogue, and 75 grown men and women crying.
Wow.
That's the power. So I stood up in front of 45 heads of studios and told that story. And I am so pleased to say that we ended up getting in the contract. When you go see a movie now that was filmed, you see on the crawl, all the names are listed that played on that movie. And I'm so proud of that. I really am.
Bravo, my friend, from all of the musicians to you, brother.
Well, it's so amazing. Just last night, my wife and I happened to be watching TV, and Singing in the Rain was on. The great movie, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know Juan Racy, who was the first trumpet at MGM, played solos through that whole thing. It's amazing. But nobody knew that. I knew it because we talked about it. Musicians, God, who played on that? Who played on this?
Oh, yeah.
Now you could actually see who.
It was a long time coming, but bravo to you. Now, can you see that picture there? Who are some of these compadres of yours, some colleagues of yours here?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, that's a bunch of bums. Let me see. We got the great John Lewis, who I just talked to it today.
Wow.
Wayne Bergeron. What movie is that from?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
But yeah, and then
is that Dan Fornero back there in the back?
Danny on the other end, yeah. And oh wow, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Well, that was your home for about 35, 40 years, right? Those studios.
Yeah, and it was it was a great thing, And the reason I accepted being vice president of the union when John Acosta asked me to run was at that time we were doing Dancing with the Stars, and we loved
Oh,
that
by the
show.
way,
I mean,
so let's don't just skip over that. So you were the first trumpet player, the first lead trumpet player on Dancing with the Stars, right?
yeah, for 17 seasons we did
Wow.
that. We loved it. It was a great show because it was totally live.
Yeah.
They and I like I tell everybody, the orchestra was fantastic. They gave us a lot of shots. In fact, on the show, when you see the beginning of the show back then, you see the people, the stars walking down the stairs with their dancing partners, and the last shot always showed the trumpet player going bop ba da bop bop. Well, that was me,
I love it.
And
Yeah.
so anyway, we ended up they ended up changing the band after the seventh season.
Right. And our compadre Harry Kim took over, right?
Harry Kim, yeah. Yeah, and Ray Chu has a band. In fact, they're still doing it, It was a little bit smaller band.
And Javier Gonzalez, I think, followed that.
Marvelous player.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart.
He
I
is.
really like him.
He's been playing the Jam for Jesus the last few years, which is
Oh, has he really? Oh, great. Yeah. So anyway, so when that went away, I was, we loved doing that so much that I just decided, I think maybe I could do something good for my fellow musicians. That's why I accepted the vice presidency. I really loved it for the 6 or 7 years I did it. The only drag is that because I was an officer, I was not allowed to play.
right.
So, I thought I've done everything I ever dreamt of doing, playing the horn. And so I do miss it every once in a while. I don't play anymore. I miss doing the shows with you. And
I know, which is
Frankie
a
and all.
shame. It's an absolute shame for Rick Baptist to put your trumpet on the shelf, but I get it, I mean, and because you basically did it all. Who is this gang of?
That was the best part.
Look at this. There you are with Quincy, by the way.
Yeah, that was on a Michael Jackson thing. Yeah, that's cool.
By the way,
Quincy
you
and,
mentioned Frankie. You played so many shows with Frankie. I mean, for decades. There you and Frankie and Harry Kim together.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. That's cool. Yeah, that was a lot of fun working with all you and your brother and all the guys. And, and it was like a family thing. That's what's great about being a musician.
Yeah.
Is that it's a family thing. It really is. We're doing stuff that we love to do and getting paid for it. How cool is that?
What a blessing it is. No question about it. So here's a couple
Amen. Amen.
There was this party. I saw this picture here. I'm going to put this up. Can you tell the audience about this picture? This is, talk about trumpet royalty. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. What it was sitting in the front, 2 wheelchairs. To the left, wearing the white, that's the great Jack Sheldon.
Yeah.
And next to him was Yuan Racy, who I just mentioned was the first trumpet player at MGM Studios, played on everything, Wizard of Oz. But over here in red is the great Arturo Sandoval.
He's no slouch, right?
Really good players. And so we all.
By the way, I remember a great story, and I asked you about this. Now Arturo Sandoval, one of the legends of trumpet, of course. If you don't know who he is, but he played on the Oscars, a big solo feature, and I remember watching him, and he big note. And he blew the note in front of millions and zillions of people. And I remember asking you about it. What did you think happened? And you explained it to me. Could you explain it to the audience? If you remember the story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. Absolutely. And what it was, again, I said I did the show for 30 years, which is true. Uh-huh. And every year before we rehearse and we do but before we go on live, to the world, right. The main director, our headphones always says, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, play good. You're playing live to 1 billion people, right? And so if that doesn't get your heart started, whatever, So anyway, I was telling Arturo about that, just remember for us musicians and especially brass players, the hardest thing is when you get nervous, you dry out. You start to get dry. So I I had done the show about 10, 12 years, and then this story I'll tell about Arturo is right a little after that, and the movie that he played all the solos on, which was Beautiful Maria from oh my gosh,
West Side Story.
anyway, so I was asked to play with and it was Placido Domingo was asked
Oh,
was
wow,
going to
yeah.
sing this. So Bill Conti comes to me and says, Ricky says, Arturo's not available. We want you to play his solo. So I got to stand next to Placido and rehearse with him and all that. And so I started the show, got into the pit and played the first hour. And they came down to get me. I went up on stage, standing next to the great Placido Domingo. And he looks
Yeah.
at me and he says, Luis, is it true we're going live to 1 billion people? And I says, oh, yes, sir. He says, geez, I'm a little nervous. And as soon as he said that, my knees started to go, thank God the downbeat came. And I got back. But so I told Arturo about this, you got to, I always had with me this little, at the time it was, these little Listerine strips. So
Oh,
you suddenly would put them out because you can't drink on stage, or so anyway, I told him what you do, and I got this from an opera singer and all the
Wow.
brass players out there. You could, when you start to get that feeling of the nervousness and you get the dry mouth, all you have to do is take your back teeth and bite the back of your tongue or scrape your back teeth on the back of your tongue. Try it while we're talking about
Okay.
starting to get moist in there and everything.
Yeah.
And right? And so Arturo said to me, like I said, he said, and afterwards he came to me and said, Rick, man, I should have listened to you. I came on stage and I saw there was John Williams and Tom Hanks, all these great people, and I got nervous. So it happens to everybody.
Oh, man. Hey, you know what we do is I have a segment of our show every week called Beach Boys Talk segment. And I've got two young men who are going to come in and ask some questions. Let me bring them in right now. We'll start with this.
Cool. All right.
Beach Boys, we're talking Beach Boys, 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 Beach, woo.
All right, everybody. Welcome Matt and Greg from the Beach Boys Talk.
Hey there. Hey, Rick. Hey, guys. Hey, Rick, what an honor to be on with you for just a little bit. Very cool.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Now, these guys are experts at everything Beach Boys. And I wonder if there is any, I mean, you've played with everybody in this business. What about the Beach Boys? Mike Love, any of these guys? Bruce Johnston, maybe.
What's the other name? The other main guy?
Bruce Johnston, Mike Love, Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson. So I got called to do when we got called to record up at Brian Wilson's house, the one that he had in Los Feliz, and so I recorded up there. I don't know what it was used for, but I just remembered how sweet he was, and he actually came up to me, and again I remember like it was came up to me, says, kid, I know you.
Of course
He said, I know you're playing, and I'm thrilled you're
Wow.
here. And for me, that was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah, what an honor.
Well,
Pretty
because
cool.
he had
I
heard
really
your
enjoyed
playing
your-
on everything. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I really enjoyed your story. My three musical heroes are Brian Wilson, which you just talked about, Tony Bennett, and Placido Domingo. So I was shocked because I love opera other than the Beach Boys. So I think that's really neat that you got to meet Placido Domingo when he told you he was nervous. That's pretty funny. I love that story. So
Yeah, and that's
what a singer, though, right?
He was amazing, man. I mean, just what great chops.
You must have played with Tony Bennett over the years, too.
for many, many moons, many, many times. You know, I didn't. It's interesting. I only recorded maybe 2 or 3 sides with him,
Uh-huh.
but definitely live. I mean, a million times in Vegas. We used to. The thing that was so cool was when he came into Vegas, he would come to the Sahara Hotel, and he brought the whole Count Basie band.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
And so the guys in the house band, they loved it because they got off, you know, while the Basie thing was playing. But man, Tony was great. I made so many TV shows with him. He was amazing.
One of the things too, Rick Baptist, I know that you did is you played the Jerry Lewis Telethon. How many times do you think?
37 years.
Wow.
I started in Las Vegas in 1972. Jack A. Glass, who was the leader at the Sahara Hotel. I just got to town. I was doing a TV show. I mean, a show called Latin Fire at the Thunderbird, and he came and heard me play. And he says, "Hey, listen, I want you to come and sit in the band." So that was the first year I did it, and they did it for 37 years, from 72 all the way through 2009. And that was an amazing show. We always had great musicians in the band.
Yes.
You know, I mean, from New York, John Frost would come out. We had Don Rader, and then I sat. But, you know, the show is 21 and a half hours.
I know, and you guys do that.
And, you know, I mean, thinking about it now, I just had a birthday Saturday. I'm 76.
By the way, happy birthday.
No way.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
No way I could do that now. But back then, we were having fun. Young guys, you know, staying awake 21 and a half hours, playing all that time. And
Jerry was a great, right? I love the bits when he would come out and conduct the band for you guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and yeah, he would. I mean, I've actually traveled a little bit with Jerry. I mean, and I was able to take my wife, which was really cool, you know. But yeah, Jerry was amazing. And what he did and the amount of money that man raised for muscular dystrophy, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, Greg, what do you take away from all this?
Well, I've actually got a couple questions for Rick. And Rick, once again, it's honored to speak with you. I still don't know why we're here, but whatever. We'll keep rolling with this. But
we need a Guardians fan in the thing, but I digress.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Exactly.
That's right. Well, I'll say this: you're 76 or going to be 76. The amount of hair that you have, I think, gives you 20 years back at least.
Amen, brother.
That kind of hair.
Don't die. That's the real color.
Yeah, phenomenal head of hair. I was doing some research on you, Rick, just kind of looking, and it's the amount of works that you've played on is pretty unreal. Like
it is unreal.
When do you have time to eat or sleep? But I noticed there's a lot of movies in there, and a lot of movies that I grew up, watching, and I was wondering, do you have a favorite movie that you played on, both enjoyed watching and then also played on it?
I would say, again, the 5th movie I did when I came to town was E.T.
Not a bad movie.
With John,
not a bad composer either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of all the movies that I did, all the Pixar movies were unbelievable. The Incredibles.
Oh, yeah.
Up. Michael Giacchino won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, I love it.
It's so funny. Billy Crystal's a dear friend, and I've worked on a lot of things with him, because he hosted the Oscars for 19 years or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so we became good friends. And so when we did his movie, wait a minute. Oh, yes. So we did his movie City Slickers.
Oh, City Slickers, sure, yeah.
Yeah. The first thing, at the beginning of the movie, the first instrument you hear is my trumpet, and it's when he was running with the bulls in Spain or Pamplona. And it was so much fun because Mark Shamer wrote that music, and it was my chance to try my Rafael Mendez stuff. So
oh, yeah.
The first notes that you hear on that movie was me playing that stuff, and I loved that. It was so much fun to, I've been featured on quite a few of the movies, but that one was great. I loved Bill Conti wrote a movie called Blood In, Blood Out, and I'm featured through that whole thing, and that was fun. There's so many. I love it watching getting on TV and going up to the 500s on our channels and see all the movies and count how many. Hey, I did that one. I did, but it's so much. It to me, it's a blessing. It's a thrill, and it was the greatest. The greatest thing I could do.
How different is it for you? Because on the movies, it was typically orchestras, big orchestras, as opposed to doing record dates. Tell the audience kind of what the different perspectives might be for you as a player.
Well, again, you work with a lot of the same guys,
Right.
but with the records, it was you knew that number one, you're going to get your names on, at some point on the record. This is music that will go, when I tell everybody, I think I have maybe about a little under 100 gold and platinum records that I played on. But my first one was Lionel Richie's All Night Long.
Wow.
Oh, what? No way.
That's the first one I did. I did 3 albums with Michael Jackson and Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra's, the duets albums.
Was Sinatra ever in the room with you when you were playing with him?
Oh yeah. He was very. In fact, the first session we did, the first session we did, we rehearsed before he came in. It was at Capitol Records. It was on a Monday night. I'll never forget. Pat Williams was the leader, and so we got together at I think it was 5:00 and rehearsed whatever songs we were going to do. Pat Williams was very conscious that because Frank didn't like doing a lot of takes.
Right. I'd always heard that about him.
And so anyway, here it is, the first session for the duets albums, and they had all at Capitol Studios. They had we had both rooms. Brass and the woodwinds were in one room, strings and everything was the other room, and they had cameras, TV cameras. And when Frank came in, hey, how you doing, everybody? They had to set up literally right in front of the brass, a booth with, I'll never forget, look at it. It had a big 27-inch TV that had the lyrics on it.
Wow.
They had a ice bucket with, and they had glasses, 4 glasses, and a bottle of Jack, and his big ashtray. So he came in. And so he says, "Okay, guys, let's do it." And the first song he picked up, we did was "I Got You Under My Skin," right? And that starts with the trombone.
Which we do that. We do that in Frankie's show now, and we do the solo like Sinatra does.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it starts with the trombones, right?
Yeah.
So Frank started singing. And he sang about 4 bars and went, "Okay, guys, let's do one more." And so they started again. I've got you under, and he only got about 8 bars. He says, "Well, the old man doesn't got it. I'll see you guys tomorrow night." And he walked out of the room.
Right?
And you
Wow.
can see the cameras going like this as he's walking out.
Wow.
No way.
And sang 9 songs. And it was unbelievable. He just wasn't ready to do it,
Sure.
But yeah, he was pretty amazing.
One of the studios that, I guess, and correct me, Matt and Greg, Gold Star Studio, Capitol Records, those two were the primary ones for the Beach Boys. Is that true?
Yeah, and Western.
And Western.
It's called Western now. It was called something else and Western something back then, yeah.
So you must have played in all those studios many times.
Yeah.
What was Capitol like? Because that's legendary.
Absolutely, and it's a great room. And they always, we had the great Al Schmidt was the engineer.
Oh yeah, didn't he just pass away?
You walk down the hall, and on the wall they had, pictures of who, and it's How could you not be thrilled working at Capitol Studios?
Did
Well,
you ever
one of
play
the-
with
go
anybody
ahead, Matt.
from the? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you ever play with anybody from the Wrecking Crew? Did you play with those guys on
Hal
yeah.
Blaine and all those
projects?
guys.
Hal Blaine,
All-
Carol Kay,
all-
those folks? Yeah.
All of
They're on a lot of the Beach
Carol
Boy
Kay.
records. You probably know. Yeah.
Carol Kay on the bass. The trumpets usually on those were on the Wrecking Crew was Ollie Mitchell, Tony Turan. Trying to think who the older guys, but man, great music, great playing, great music.
By the way, and I will tell the audience, I am honored to have you. Well, on so many things that we've done together, but you are on the music that I play at the beginning of this show every night called Island Winds, and that's this one right here. It takes a while for the trumpet to come in, but but you're, I mean, and as a matter, it's multiple Ricks, so you're on that. So thank you for that, brother.
That's so cool. That's
So the
cool.
Jam and Java audience hears you every night, every Monday on this show.
I
Love
love
it.
that. So cool.
So Greg and Matt, you guys know that for 32 years now, I do this Christmas concert called Jam for Jesus. As a matter of fact, we opened with the theme song that Doc Kupka and I wrote, and you and Doc Kupka go back too, by the way,
all
don't
the-
you? The high school,
yeah,
right?
Back to Oakland. He was at Skyline High School. I was at Arroyo High School, and that was before Tower Power started. I knew all those
Yes.
guys. You know.
And so this thing I do, but a few years ago, I had you and Harry Kim on the show.
Right.
And I
Right.
did this arrangement, and I just happened to have a clip of this. Now, this goes back a few years, and this is not like movie magic clip. This is like a 8mm or something or whatever. So I'm going to play this for you guys. And by the way, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Let's hear it,
yeah.
everybody. For Matt and Greg Coffey, Beach
Such an
Boys
honor,
Talking.
man.
By the way, you guys have a show Wednesday instead of Tuesday this week, right? You want to tell the audience about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we're having on. Hope you're going to join us, Robbie. But we're going to have
I'm
on
there.
the stage manager of the current Beach Boys lineup is going to come on and join us. So it should be a fun show. We're going to interview him about all his fun stories and things like that. So I think it'll be fun. To me, the stage manager is kind of a big deal. It's a glue,
It is,
A lot of
no
stuff
question
can go
about
wrong
it.
if he's not on his game, right? So there's got to be some
Yeah.
good stuff. So
Well, and when for you doing American Idol, Rick, and you doing Dancing with the Stars, stage manager's king there, right?
Absolutely. And that was always the thing. And I tell all the young guys, what you do is you make friends with the stage managers. Because if you ever need anything on that stage, all you have to do is go to them and they'll get it taken care of.
Yeah.
So you make your friends with all those guys, man.
that's right. His name's
Yeah.
Adam Richter, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Adam Richter. He's going to be joining us. So it's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rick,
Well,
Rick's such an honor to talk to you, Rick.
Yeah, it really is an honor. Thank you for all the
Thank
music,
you.
all those
Yeah.
movies I've seen. I had no idea, so thank you. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's hard not to go to the movies and not hear Rick Baptist.
that's
Yeah.
correct.
Well, here's Rick Baptist and Harry Kim at Jam
cool.
for Jesus. So check this out, guys, and we'll see you guys Wednesday night.
See you, Robbie. Hey, Robbie, love the tie, man.
Hey, I had to get dressed. We're going uptown here with Rick.
Yeah.
Here we go. See you guys. That's a whole lot of trumpet going on there, brother.
That is so cool. I love that. I love Harry.
Oh yeah, you and Harry together too. That's almost too much trumpet.
Well, you know, when we were doing Dance with the Stars, Harry was in the next studio over doing American Idol.
Oh wow,
I used to see him every week when we would go to get. But yeah, I love Harry. He's a sweetheart.
I've got. Oh yeah, this picture before. We've had so many. Let's see here. I'm gonna go over here. Let's see. Well, I showed this. That's you and we had both you guys on some Frankie Valli gigs. I remember, which is pretty stinking cool. By the way, you went to see a couple of good horn bands this week for your birthday. Oh, by the way, here officially, I've got to do this here. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Rick Baptist, Studio Hollywood legend.
Love it.
With Count Basie.
I love it. Yeah, my wife has a surprise for me. Got 2 tickets to a new big arena in Palm Springs. It's called the Acrisure and Palm Desert, and we got a chance to see Earth, Wind and Fire and Chicago.
Two of the legendary horn bands.
Oh, it was so cool, and I got a chance to see my friends. Reggie Young, who's a trombone. Reggie used to sit in front of me on Dancing with Stars. I told everybody I played into the back of his head for 17 seasons.
Wow.
And Bobby Burns, the great Bobby Burns.
Bobby Burns.
His birthday was Sunday. Mine was Saturday.
I did not know that. Now I'm embarrassed. Hold on a second.
And then also the great,
hey, Robbie.
Hey, Bobby, are you there?
I'm here.
There he is.
I just found out it was your birthday, Bobby.
Well, it's actually yesterday.
Right.
What is there something about this month or trumpet players or something?
I know. Rick was yesterday. I mean, the 7th, right? So.
Can you hear us all, Rick? Can you hear Rick, Bobby?
Yeah, Bob.
Yes, I can hear him.
Cool.
Hey, Rick.
But I told him the first thing I said to him when I went backstage was, I said, Bobby, I counted, and in the opening number that you played, you had about 18 high G's, and then that wasn't enough. He ended up on a double high C that was just ridiculous. And I said, they owe you more money, buddy.
Rick, I'm just trying to keep up with what you used to do.
That's all that Bill Adam training, isn't it?
Yes, a lot.
Exactly.
Yep,
But
so true.
The bands were amazing. Gary Bias on sax, and then Chicago with Lee and Pankow was there. And I didn't know, but the drummer was Walfredo Rios Jr. I played with his father, and he was in the Latin Fire show that I did in Vegas in 1970. Was his dad. But man, the show was amazing. Both bands were spectacular. And like I told my wife, that's the best birthday present I've had in ages.
And how cool is it? And you guys, Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire both get on stage together. And you guys perform. How cool was that, Rick?
It was amazing. In fact, that's the one. We have a 5-minute video, because when we were going to come backstage, we moved from our seats, which were in good seats. We went to near the front. And Bobby, I got stuff of you dancing, baby. It was good, I mean, Reggie Young, but you were doing some moves. But it was amazing to hear the two bands, those, all the great horn section from Chicago, and you guys. It was spectacular.
We're blessed. Well, first of all, whenever we play in the L.A. area, to have such a great wealth of trumpet players. Now, you've played the Frankie Valli show a zillion times. Bobby Burns, when he's not touring with Earth, Wind, and Fire, has played the Frankie Valli show many times. Now, one thing that Bobby brings to the table, though, all of that choreography that you just mentioned. He brings. He is a dancing machine too, brother.
That's great.
That's so
I
funny you
love
say
it.
that because I'm not really a dancer. I just, I got a few things that I can do, and I pull them out of the trick bag every time.
I would imagine playing with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and that music is so infectious. You have to dance, right? And also just to keep up with Verdine, huh?
Well, keep up with Verdine and Gary and Reggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reggie's a fool, boy, I'll tell you.
Hey, Bobby Burns, what does Rick Baptist mean to the trumpet community in L.A., Hollywood?
Rick is the poster boy for the trumpet players all over the country, not just L.A. I mean, he was the guy who we emulated to try to play like, be like, business like. He makes everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
Sits in the seat, plays is behind him. Rick, I know you probably don't remember, but I played with you, I think, once or twice, and I went, oh my God, I'm in heaven. I'm sitting beside Rick Baptist.
Wow.
Somebody who I looked up to for years, and I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Yep, I have total respect.
Thank you.
There's one thing that now as a conductor, I've seen Rick, and I've seen him do this as well as anybody, if not better than anybody. When he sits in a horn section, he obviously plays perfectly, but he somehow he knows how to communicate with the conductor in just the right way, with authority, yet not trying to take over the thing. But you also spearhead all of the musicians to gather around. That's a special talent that you have, Rick, to do that. And that's what lead trumpets.
It's a real special talent. And he makes everybody feel comfortable around him. Rick, come on, you're the guy who we try to be like, business-wise, trumpet-wise, and everything. Really, man, that's the truth, dude.
Yeah.
I've had so much respect for you, man.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot. Thank you.
And you guys are both up there in the Valencia area, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So cool that he met my wife the other night.
Oh, yeah.
She's telling me, she says, oh, by the way, I told Bobby that we're going to all get together for dinner. Oh, perfect,
Yes, we are.
So Bobby told me that he just got off the road. Tell him how many shows you guys did or how many dates.
What was Chicago? You mean how many days?
Well, no,
Chicago?
how many? You were just on the road for how long?
Oh, I've been with Earth, Wind, and Fire since 20 years since.
No, I mean just on this last run.
Oh gosh, with Chicago we did 60 days total with about 4 breaks, about 4 days in between. Yeah, yep. We did 2 30-day tours. We had a break for about 5 days, not even 5 days, maybe 4 days.
Wow.
That's a lot of notes.
And you got 2 more makeup shows to do, right?
No, actually, we have one makeup due. We headed out to Homdale, New Jersey.
Oh yeah, Garden State used to be the Garden State Arts Center.
Oh wow, okay, I didn't even remember that. Okay, they changed.
We did a record there back in 1980. Yeah, I remember it well.
Oh my goodness. Well, we got rained out, so we're going back. Earth, Wind, Fire, Chicago. We're going back up to make that date up.
Awesome,
and
awesome.
Because it was actually original.
I'll tell everybody, go see the show.
Yes,
it is unbelievable. Oh, unbelievable.
Thank you, Rick. Oh man.
You know what? A lot of people probably don't know about the great Bobby Burns is obviously he's a brilliant trumpet player and one of the nicest musicians in the business, no question about it. But you started out as a classical player, right, Bobby?
Yeah, that's true.
And now you're playing with Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's kind of classic R&B, I guess. I don't know.
I guess that's a good way to look at it.
And you studied.
That's so true.
And he studied at Indiana University, which is one of the great trumpet teachers, one of the great brass teachers of all time, Bill Adam, who was.
Bill Adams, right.
And tell the audience some of the other teachers, the other students that Bill Adam had, if you would.
Well, a couple guys who kind of did all right, like Chris Bodie, Charlie Davis, Larry Hall. I mean, they did okay in the business, amongst a ton of other players.
Yeah,
Jerry Hay. Oh my God. Yeah, right.
And
They kind of did all right.
Didn't Randy Brecker study there too?
Randy Brecker also studied with Bill Adams. Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
He had a knack for turning out good trumpet players.
Well, I thought I would surprise because when I was talking to Rick today, that he was telling me about how great you guys' show was. I thought so I called Bobby without letting Rick know. So I wanted to give Bobby a call. And little did I know it was both of your birthdays. So birthday blessings to each one of you guys. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Uh-oh. Do we have a meltdown?
No. We can hear you there. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
So thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it over the time. Both of you guys, I love both of you guys. Hang on, Rick, but I'm going to let Bobby go. Thank you so much, Bobby Burns, for coming on Jammin' Java.
Thank you for having me. And Rick, it was great seeing you the other day. God bless you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, brother.
And we'll have to have dinner soon.
Yeah.
Bobby Burns, everybody. Yeah, he is. Bobby Burns is definitely one of the class acts in our business, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. He's a sweetheart,
Yeah.
a great player, and just loves, he loves playing his trumpet and loves entertaining. And there's not enough things I could say about him.
Yeah. Here, by the way, I've got in these pictures here, I want to put this picture up here. Who is this young lady?
That's my beautiful daughter, Amara.
I love her hat, too, even though she must be looking in a mirror.
Yeah, she worked at the Dodgers for a little while, and then she had the opportunity. She went to Memphis Grizzlies and did all the
social media. And she was there for a couple of years. Then she went to Portland for the Trailblazers. Was up there for like 3-4 years, doing all social media, traveling with all the teams on the plane, staying in all these 5- and 6-star hotels. Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. And now she came back and is living in Glendale, and she works for LeBron James' company.
Awesome.
She's my little baby. She's pretty special.
Well, I want to go through some of these pictures. Now, we saw this one and we saw that one. That's you with Quincy and a bunch of great trumpets.
Quincy, we got Jerry Hay, Gary Grant, Ray Brown, Wayne, Warren Looning. And
that must be maybe that's a Michael Jackson record, you think?
It was. That was a Michael Jackson record. Absolutely.
Wow. And that we talked about. How about, who's this young guy?
I was, the way I started playing was, I was about 3 years old, and I got diagnosed with asthma.
Wow.
And so when I was in the 5th grade, 10 years old, I was running around the track, and my left lung collapsed.
Oh,
and
man.
So the doctors were able to save it, and the one doctor, Dr. Feldman, I always thank him, he suggested I take up a wind instrument to build up my lungs, right? And so my folks, God bless them, I grew up in San Lorenzo, a little town in the Bay Area, and they went to the San Lorenzo Music Center and rented a trumpet, and it came with 3 lessons.
Wow.
And so I started, this gentleman, Juanito Silva, and I was 12 years old here. I've been playing a couple years, and he had this band that played up there in the San Francisco area, a great Latin band. And so I started working with him, and it was just, I had great teachers, but I just wanted to play my horn. I took every job. I did everything from playing taps, the Chinese funerals, anything that would let me play my trumpet. And that's what I've done. And thank God that God watched over me.
Amen.
And, like I said, I had that piece of metal on my lip for 66 years,
You know what? The other day I was thinking about when the very first time that I started playing music, and the very first time I remember I was taking piano lessons, and they brought this they showed us some of the different instruments and the saxophone. And it's like, man, I have got to play that instrument. I ended up playing saxophone for many years, but what was it like for you? Can you go back to that young boy and what that feeling was like when you put that trumpet to your lip?
It was, I mean, again, it was amazing. I know it was a God's gift, so I know it just came easy, but I had great teachers, but it just came relatively simple. And so when I look back and see the things that I did and the teachers that taught me, the one thing I always wanted to do was be a versatile player. Like you had mentioned, Bobby had legit training. Well, that's what my teacher wanted me to be a first trumpet in an orchestra. And so he taught me all that kind of playing, which eventually paid off unbelievable.
Oh, man. For playing in the studios, you have to play everything, right?
You have to. And that's the thing I loved doing, was playing all the different styles, and, learning and listening to a lot of players. A lot of people say, I listen to a lot of players, and you don't, steal but you file.
Sure.
I like the way he did that, And so for the younger players out there, listen to as many players. For me, listening to Snooky Young playing first Al Pacey's band, unbelievable, And so, it's just, you could always learn. You could always learn from somebody. Oh, there you go. There's a great picture.
That's you and your your buddy. You guys go back to, we talked about it earlier. You go back to high school days.
High school, yeah. He was at rival high school in Oakland, and I was in San Lorenzo, and him and a few of the other guys, Mick Gillette, and all the cats, man.
All the cats, man. And there you and I were at the we saw each other at that Tower Power concert.
Oh, yeah, right.
And there's you and I with our brides.
There we go. Yeah, I love it. That's cool.
And
that's cool.
Oh, by the way, so this is actually a Robinson Brothers CD, and you're on that one.
Oh, very good.
Like I said, that Island Winds song. I love this picture of you, man. That just depicts you, brother.
That's cool.
And let's see here. We saw this one. Let me go over here. I've got some more.
And for me, I played. That's from Dancing with the Stars. That's an advertise I did for Schilke trumpets, which is I've played since 1965.
Wow, you've stayed with that same brand all these years, all these decades.
Oh yeah, I've only played 3. The first horn that my folks, when they rented, was a Busher trumpet. And then when I started taking lessons from the great Leo Demers in Oakland, he got me on a Binge 5X, and then I found my Schilke B5, and that's the one that it's a great horn, and I played that for all these years.
Wow! By the way, I showed this picture earlier, and there's all these great trumpet players, and I think the guy right next to Arturo. Isn't that oh gosh, what's his name?
No, it looks like Robbie Shear.
No, then that's not who I was thinking.
Oh yeah, Charlie Davis is there.
Yeah.
Charlie Davis is there, and let's see who else we have. Bob O'Donnell's in the back row, and Wayne Bergeron. There's Chuck Finley.
By the way, Chuck Finley, because the other day I was we were doing some research who played the horns on the song Grease.
Right.
And it was Chuck played all the trumpet parts.
That's true. Yeah.
And then I think I think it was Reichenbach played maybe trombones.
Trombones, yeah, right. And I think Dan Higgins was on sax.
So who I thought that might be was Lorenzo Trujillo. Do you remember Lorenzo Trujillo?
I do, but that's not him.
Okay.
But yeah, I do. He was a nice man. I really like Lorenzo.
Well, Lorenzo is a guy that I use on the East. He's in one of the elite military bands now.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, cool.
And I've used him as lead. He's a great player, but he always told me the story about you, and I'm going to share for the audience because this is who Rick Baptist is. I mean, Rick Baptist is like first call trumpet, and Lorenzo Trujillo is a nice young man who was a great trumpet player who came to town trying to, make it in the music business like so many people. And he didn't have a flugelhorn.
Yeah.
And so Lorenzo said, and he had met you, and somehow he told you that he didn't have a flugelhorn or something, so you gave him a flugelhorn.
Yeah. Yeah, because see, when you play other instruments in the studios, we get paid more money.
Uh-huh.
And that's called a double. So you try. And so, yeah, that was, again, he's such a sweet guy.
He's a great guy, yeah. And he's played so many Frankie shows. I don't think anybody's played as many Frankie shows as you have, though. Because for a long time, you were the only guy that we would ever.
It was fun. We had a lot of laughs.
That's you and I up in your office. That's when I had to kiss your ring, I think. But when you were the VP. But but you were paying me back this way.
Yeah, there you go.
And here's another horn. Oh, by the way, this I think might have been one of the last live gigs that you did. This was we did a Frankie Valli show up in the Bay Area at one of those wineries. We rehearsed in that wine cellar.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about it. You're right. That was amazing.
That was great. And that's Tom from Tower of Power. Tom, whatever, on the saxophone.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Tom Politzer. Yeah, right. That's Rocky Winslow over here on the trumpet next to you.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that is so cool.
Here's another Frankie Valli gig. We had a pretty good horn section here. That's Rick Keller on sax. That's you on trumpet. Right. That's Jerry Vivino on Barry. Right. And Dave. Oh gosh.
Oh, Dave. Yeah, the trombone player.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. Well, and then of course Warrenham on sax and Harry Kim.
Right.
Yep.
That was a fun gig. That was cool.
Well, we've done a lot, and I'm sorry to say that you've put your trumpet on the shelf, but you can hear yourself every time you go to the movies. 1,300 Hollywood movie soundtracks, 5,000 cartoons, 30 years. What's it like? Tell the audience what it's like playing on the Academy Awards. That's the biggest show of the year.
It is, and it's the cool thing about it is that the show you rehearse for a whole week. The show is usually on a Sunday night. So we start rehearsals a week ahead of time. There's 130 starts, 130 cues, different starts in that 3.5 hour live show. And so there's a lot of things to rehearse. Plus, whatever acts you're in, you rehearse the best song, whatever, best score. And it's an amazing show. There's always amazing musicians. I think we usually had about 55 musicians. Wow. We would be in the pit, or else we'll be on stage. But yeah, so you start rehearsing on Sunday nights or Sunday afternoon, 11 o'clock until about 4 or 5, and then you come back on Monday and you rehearse for about 7 or 8 hours, and then on Tuesday. Usually about 3-4 hours, and then Wednesday is when you first go into the pit. I was at the Kodak Theater, and so we would for 2 hours at night, from 5 to 7, you would get set in the pit. They would get balancers on the sound and everything, and Bill Conti, God bless him, he would bring in grappa, which, do you know what grappa is?
No, I have no idea.
It's like Italian. Really, it's a wine, and so Bill, we call it grappa night because Bill will bring in like 3 or 4 or 5 bottles. Everybody gets a cup, and we would toast each other, right? But he always started with me, and I don't drink. I never have drank, right? And so I was always the first one to have to take grappa, and it is so strong.
Oh
tasty,
no.
you know. But so I was always the one I faked like I was making a drink, the toast with everything. But that's Wednesday nights, and then Thursday we usually had the day off. Friday we went in at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, and you would run the show
Wow.
complete. And then Saturday, same thing. At Saturday, you would run the complete show. Sunday, you would come in at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, run the show for the last final time, and then you're live at 5 o'clock to the world. Like I said, it's an amazing job. It's
No pressure, right?
a lot of pressure, but that was, I thrived for that. I loved
Yeah.
that part. And you don't think about making clams or whatever. But the thing that I found with all the musicians, whether it's in the studios or doing what, is that once that red light goes on, the concentration is 100%. That's the most important thing I could put out there to young musicians.
Yes.
Is that, because like I said, the first time you play a piece of music down is usually the best you play because your concentration is 100%. The second time is when you start making mistakes and make clams because your concentration came down.
Yeah.
So that is hands down the most important thing, is to just concentrate all the time, listening to your players, listening to the fellow players, and making
Words of
music.
words of wisdom that have worked well for you, my friend.
Yeah,
I
they
am-
have. God bless.
I
They
have kept you on way longer than I thought we would, and so it is always a great to hang out with you, my friend. But even more so tonight to share some of your experiences. The great, what an amazing career! God has blessed you in so many ways, my friend, and what a talent!
Thank you.
I just
Well,
love
like I said, Robbie, I was so thrilled when you mentioned this to me, and I of course said yes in a minute, but if I'm going to put out anything, I would just say that, yeah, music is the greatest thing that we can do. It is something that, whether you're playing for yourself, whether you're playing for 2 or 3 people, or playing in an auditorium like they did the other night with 11,000 people yelling and screaming, and it's an amazing thing. It really is. Music is. There's nothing better than it. Nothing better.
Well, thank you, Rick Baptist, for blessing the world on so many movies and those songs, all the music that you have made for the last 30, 40 years will go on and bless people for decades and decades to come. That's a cool thing, too.
Well, that's the thing. I have grandchildren now, and they know that Papa played on this and played on that. That to me, it's the greatest. It really is. And again, I consider the friends, and that's the thing, is you make friends for life. 50 years,
50
and
years.
we will continue on.
Amen, brother. Well, God's big blessings to you and your family. All right, everybody, give a nice round of applause. The great, legendary Rick Baptist. Love it, brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, what a night. Wow. Wow. This guy, what a career he has had. What a legend he is in the music business. It's just absolutely amazing what he has done. So, and I always go longer with most of my guests. It is what it is. Yes, it was pretty cool. This guy. And the funny, by the way, and I just went to, I was in Nashville. Of course, if you watch the show at all, last week I came to you from Nashville, where my kids and my grandkids all live. And we were, so we played in Atlanta Thursday night, and my daughter and some of her kids went with me. There's Lisa and Frankie. So my daughter Lisa, who's holding the baby there, Rick Baptist played at her wedding. here in Trinity Lutheran Church many years ago. Well, we had a great time. We'll talk about this in a little bit here about going to Atlanta. We did these makeup dates. We did Atlanta and Greensboro, North Carolina. But right now, it's time to move to the next segment of Jam and Java, and that is this one right here.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
All right, Sherry Eicher Jack. Hey.
Hey, Robbie. Hi, everyone.
So, Rick Baptist, I guess we've all heard so many of the movies and soundtracks and records that this guy has played on, huh?
Oh, what an incredible resume. It's just like one movie, one performance, one band, one other artist. Oh, unbelievable.
I know
Incredible.
He's played with Manhattan Transfer, done a bunch of their records. I don't doubt that he must have played on their version of Route 66.
Most likely. Yeah. Oh, incredible musician.
Speaking of Route 66, so what's going on in the world of Route 66 and the Route 66 chick this week?
Well, I've got a little bit of news tonight. You know, I've been talking about American Giants all summer because of the new American Giants Museum up in Atlanta, Illinois. And the founder of American Giants, Joel Baker, who's our keynote speaker at Miles of Possibility. And there's 4 more new giants that have arrived in
That's what I
just the
hear.
last couple
Wow.
months. Yeah. That is Lumi the Pie Girl. And that's in Atlanta, Illinois. But Lumi is not at the American Giants Museum. She is standing outside of the Country Air restaurant. And Lumi
Are these
for
newly
the
created
restaurant's
giants, or are they
owner.
old giants that have been, updated or something?
Oh, that's part of this really cool part of this story is all those original ones that were made by the International Fiberglass Company, which I have an International Fiberglass t-shirt on. But anyway, there is now a gentleman out in Virginia. His name, what is his name? Mark Klein. And he has a company out there, and he is making all these incredible new giants. And he's making them off of the designs and the molds from International Fiberglass. So they're sort of the same basic models. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Wow,
Now
look
that
at
one there, that is Big Ron. That's at Motorheads in Springfield.
Oh.
And our friend Ron Metzger, he's the one that's kind of leaning over with a ball cap on, looking up. That's Ron Metzger, and this big giant is supposed to look like him. It's called Big Ron. And I didn't attend any of these events, so these aren't my pictures, but you can just barely see. It looks like he is holding up the giant Route 66 sign.
Oh, yeah.
And this giant is 30 feet tall.
And those gas pumps look pretty stinking tall, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, who's this
here's
guy?
another new one. Yep, this is Big A, the Texaco Giant, and the Big A stands for Aaron Perry. This is Aaron Perry's establishment called Gearhead Curios in Galena, Kansas. So this Texaco guy was made to look like Aaron, particularly Aaron's trademark white mustache and beard. So that's Big A. He's 21 feet tall.
These are some
And
big dudes.
that just occurred like a week ago. That just was put up
Wow.
a week ago. And
Is
then
this in
here's
Tulsa?
yeah.
Okay.
Remember when I did that kind of botched thing in Tulsa last November
Yes,
when I
yes,
was trying
I
to
do.
show off the neon? When you and Steve Clem ended up with that great music discussion. Anyway, we were there to look at the neon, and we were there to look at Buck Adam, the space cowboy.
Uh-huh.
Well, this is Stella Adam, the space cowgirl.
Ah.
And that's where Steve Clem and I were attempting to do my segment of the show.
Yeah, if you're
so
gonna have a
Stella's-
cowboy, you're gonna have to have a cowgirl, aren't you?
yeah, that's the thing. And at first, when the news of her came out that she was coming, everybody was going, well, now is that going to be Buck Adams' wife or is that Buck Adams' sister? And I don't know if anybody ever decided, but I think it's sort of tending to be like his girlfriend.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I know
so
that
anyway,
we're-
that's where we were.
And you talked about Motorheads. I know we were still trying to find another date with this thing. Of course, we're coming to Edwardsville, Illinois, for those that thanks to you to this thing to the Wiley Theater.
Yes. Oh, and we can't wait, and those tickets are disappearing.
I haven't checked it for the last couple days. The other day there were just I think about 50 left.
Yeah, I think it's about 50, 60, something like that.
Okay.
So they are disappearing. I wanted to tell you, I texted Ron Metzger at Motorheads a couple days ago. So
Well, good. I talked to him. I'm not sure. We'll see if we can work something out. But there's some other opportunities too. By the way, that's how you can get tickets to the Wildly. That is, so you can take a picture of that, right?
yes, absolutely. Or you can just go to ovationtix.com and or you can go to you can just Google Wildy Theater Edwardsville and
yeah, and that's.
it
Oh,
will
and
take
by the
you
way,
to ticket.
in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm still not sure the exact date. We're going to be releasing our new version of Born to Be Wild. And by the way, here's a taste of Born to
That's
Be Wild
great.
with our sizzle reel. It goes like this.
Hey, get your motor running, heading on the highway, looking for adventure, or whatever comes our way. Like a true nature child, we were born to be wild. We'll get climbed so high, I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild. Yeah.
Well, we are sure looking forward to coming back to Edwardsville for this date.
Well, we're excited for you to come back, that's for sure. What an awesome concert last year, and this one can only be better.
It is going to be better, yes. Because we're going to pull out all the stops, that's for sure. So that's on. Well, here, let me go back to that picture here. That would be this one right here. And I need to put up this here. Well, let's go back.
Yes.
So it's easy to find wildlytheater.com. So if you're anywhere in driving range, I know we have some people who already have tickets that are coming from Utah, some people for coming up from way down south. I forget where, but it's going to be a rock show, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be so much fun. So we'll have all these excited Route 66 people there, and we'll have all your Litchfield friends and fans, and like you say, friends and fans from here, there, and everywhere. It's going to be just a great evening.
Oh, yeah. Senior B says Jackie is coming from Georgia. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very
Well,
cool.
I'm going to let you go and move to the next segment. I got so backed up here with Rick Baptist. I always go on too long. But thank you for everything you do, Sherry Eicherjet.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right. I'll see you next Monday with more Route 66 stuff.
Absolutely.
All
Good
right.
night, Robbie. Night,
Good night.
everyone.
Oh, yeah. So as I was saying, so we had these makeup shows to do because when Frankie got COVID, oh, here, do I have that thing here? I was going to well, maybe not. So we had 2 weeks ago, and so we made up these dates in Atlanta, and I went to Nashville and then drove. It was only a 3.5-hour drive to Atlanta from Nashville. And we got some cool pictures from this last weekend. Flew home on Saturday. There's Frankie with little Violet. And, there we are at the sound check here. So my daughter, Lisa, who as I mentioned, Rick Baptist played the trumpet at her. I wrote a processional for organ and trumpet that Rick Baptist played, which was really a cool. That was a few decades ago. There we are at Soundcheck. So Lisa was at Soundcheck, and there's a picture of the venue from the horn players' perch there, looking at the music. So we always hire a trumpet player and a trombone player wherever we go. There are the horn players in Atlanta, and testing out my guitar. There we are again. Here's a picture at the sound. By the way, Lisa took some video of the sound check. So the Frankie Valli sound check. I always know it's probably interesting to see some of the back behind the scenes stuff. So here is our sound check in Atlanta. Check it out.
Silence is golden. Oh, don't it hurt deep inside to see someone do something to hurt? Oh, don't it pain to see someone cry, especially when someone is hurt? Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes. Pressure when we throw away conventionality, move to yesterday. It's the way that you love. It's got me.
So, yeah, that was at the sound check here. I've got some more pictures here. That's the stage. Taking a look at the keyboard rig in the stage with nobody on him. There I am again, experimenting with my new guitar. on the road again. So it was good, and both the shows went great. And Frankie's back up to speed. You know, he's healthy, and everything's going great. Band was all kicking it. I've got another. There's some shots of the show. Lisa out in the audience. There's the sound check again. Let's see here. There's Lisa and family. Oh, by the way, this is Frankie when he was on Hollywood Squares. If you see him on the bottom right square, back in the day. There's the guitar. Well, Lisa also took some videos of the show here. I've got a little segment of some of the videos, and she caught a bunch of my solos here. Check it out. It's right here. So that's just a little taste of this weekend in Atlanta and Greensboro, North Carolina. And we had a great... So we're home for a couple more weeks, and then we go back out. I have to look at exactly what the next dates are. Oh, what a night it's been with all these... with the great Rick Baptist and... oh, what a trumpet player. And what a career this guy has had. And, I mean, gosh... here's his played on over 1,300 Hollywood movie soundtracks, over 5,000 animated cartoons, first trumpeted on the Academy Awards for 30 years, first trumpet on the Grammy and Emmy Awards for decades, recorded with Frank Sinatra, Barbra Streisand, Ray Charles, Josh Groban, Linda Ronstadt, Michael Bublé, Linda Ronstadt, and Robbie Robinson. Over 100 Grammy and Platinum records, lead trumpet American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, served as vice president of the LA Musicians Union. And so, what a career this guy's had. Oh, there you are. Hello. Oh, you see my stuff behind me here. So I'm going to play one more song before we wrap it up. So don't go away. Let's do something that's got some horns in it. And this is the Trinity Lutheran Praise Team. And this is our version of an old standard called Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. Check this out. This is, of course, features Jerry Vivino on the sax, who you saw in some of those pictures earlier, and Richie Gajate Garcia along with the praise team.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way. From the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way. From the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way. From the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high.
All right. Let's lift his name on high as we go out here on this Monday evening. Thank you, each one of you, for coming and hanging out with me tonight. It's always a blessing. It's always a pleasure to have you come and hang out. Spend Monday nights here with the Jammers. And so God's big blessings to each and every one of you. I will see you next Monday. Be there, be square. Bye-bye.
If you ever plan to motor west, jump my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. Well, it winds from Litchfield to LA. More than 2,000 miles
get your kicks on Route 66. And now you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. You see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino. And I'm in the mood for travel, so I wanna go to Litchfield. Let's go, come on, Robbie, go! St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City looks mighty